Welcome to a brand new episode of the podcast. Today we are exploring the power of conversation. As always, we are doing it in about 5 to 6, 7, 8 minutes, 10 minutes tops, because of course these episodes go out to various places where 10 minutes is the maximum. Reminder, of course, if you enjoy these episodes, please do subscribe, like, follow, whatever that looks like within the context of where you are. And even more importantly, if as you're following along, you realise that you are ready to go deeper with this stuff, consider this your invitation to come and join us in the Itchy Soul Playground. uia.com/join is where you can do that. We actually have our next, I'm looking at the calendar, we have our next meetup a week on Wednesday, May the 26th. At 1:30 in the afternoon UK time, which I know is very, very early for people who are on Pacific time. But hey, you can't please everybody. We are starting half an hour earlier to give us a little bit of extra time before I dash off and go and pick the kids up from school. So that's my quick housekeeping and my invitation to you. Today, though, we're exploring, like I say, the power of conversation. And this all started, I was sitting this morning with Holy Spirit and said, okay, so what story am I sharing today? And today really is more thoughts and I guess I was feeling really inspired. I had the wonderful opportunity to watch another one of the Heaven and Hell at 43 stories that my friend Rolanda has shared. Hers is going out on Friday. And I was just watching it this morning and it really moved me to tears. And I just felt so thankful and so blessed that people are sharing these stories. And those stories all came about as a result of a conversation. Because I sat with God at the end of April, beginning of May, and said, okay, what are we doing in May? And then I'd been nudged through one of the calls I was on to get really specific. Tell God what you need. I said, okay, God, I need some strategies. I need ideas. It's all well and good setting these goals and going, these are the things we're going to do. But what does that look like? And that's when the idea, as I've shared with you before, for restarting this podcast came about. But it was also when he dropped the idea of the community adventure, the Heaven and Hell at 43 stories. And what's been really special is every single story has been unique and different and at the same time applicable to so many of us, but also all of it is about love, as you'd expect, but each one is just so personal and just so brilliant. And if it hadn't been for sitting and having that conversation with God, and him, of course, being loving and gracious and going, yes, of course, I want to show you, do this will be really fun, it would never have happened. I couldn't have come up with the idea for that all on my own. I'm not that clever. And so it really reminded me, and Holy Spirit was reminding me of the power of conversation and the fact that he wants to do life with you. God, you were made for relationship. It was my children, they call them children, they're all teenagers now, and one of them is an adult. But as our children turn into young people and young adults, as they get older, they don't want to hang around with us as much as they wanted to when they were little. It's kind of ironic, really, and one of those quirks of life that when your kids are really little, and you just, particularly like I had 3 children who were quite close together in age. I mean, when they were small, I was quite stressed out. I mean, you've heard the story. I was trying to be this kind of correct, really good, normal, nice mum, and so I was stressing myself out anyway. But even so, leaving that aside, when you've got young children around it, and they're very demanding, and it's not just your own children. Like I used to teach young children, and doing a day in an under 5s classroom is exhausting because they don't stop. And yet as they get older and you suddenly get that space and you find yourself going, oh, okay, I'd like to talk to you. I'd like to spend some time with you, and then when they actually do want to talk to you and do want to spend some time with you, it's brilliant. And like, wow, yeah, that was really fun. And so I had a conversation yesterday evening with one of my daughters, and it was only a little conversation, but it was lovely. And afterwards, God was reminding me and saying, look, I love those conversations with you too. There are times when we get so busy. Speaking only for myself, but I imagine I'm not the only one. Hope I'm not the only one. Life is busy, and we get, even when we know that we want to do life with God and we're really intentional about that, still, day-to-day life gets busy. And so one of the pictures that God gave me last night was he's there and he said, look, oh yay, I've been waiting all day to talk to you. A bit like how I was like that with my daughter. Oh yay, I get to talk to you. And that desire to have conversation, that desire for relationship, where do you think that comes from? It comes because we are made in God's image. He is relationship, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. He is community. It's one of the reasons why I am fully convinced that what we're doing in the playground and doing community together is how it's meant to be. We're not meant to do life on our own. And so that picture of those times when there's, it's not just children, people that you care about, your friends, family members, people who you do life with, that desire to do life in relationship and have those conversations. We have that desire because that's what we were made for. We were born for relationship. And even those people who don't yet, don't let God love them yet. God is loving everybody, but there are some people who don't have that, I guess, awareness of God's love. They fill it with other stuff. I think I've told you before, the reason why the Itchy Soul Playground is called the Itchy Soul Playground. It was a clean name for what I, in my head, called the G-spot. I remember years ago having a conversation with a lady and telling her about the G-spot. We're this part inside of us that's made for relationship with God. All of us have that. And so people who don't yet let God love them, they fill it with other stuff. They fill it with loving their family. They fill it with loving their pets. They fill it with, certainty around work and football and, all of these other things that they like doing. But that G-spot, but of course you can't really have a website called the G-spot because otherwise you get all kind of and a whole other connotation going on there instead. And so many years ago, I had a conversation with somebody who then described it as the Itchy Soul. And so actually that's how the Itchy Soul came about. First the book, and now of course the Itchy Soul Playground where we do community. And so all of it weaving together, which in itself is evidence of, fascinates me. God weaving all these different strands of our story. And maybe this is true for you as well. If you reflect back on the journey through your life thus far, there are some bits of it which you might think, oh no, that was quite distinct and that doesn't really count. No, all of it counts. All of it. I've got examples in my life of things when I wasn't really doing stuff consciously with God. I've said to you before, Yuya is you plus intentional, expectant relationship. But I wasn't being intentional or expectant in my relationship with God at certain times of my life. And yet still afterwards, I can look back and go, oh, that bit. And oh, that bit. And the way that he moves them all together and weaves them all together. I think we're told in, is it Romans, that all things, God works all things for the good of people who love him. All things are being moved and made wonderful in ways that we can't even see yet. And so I just want to encourage you as you step into this brand new week, and remind you the power of conversation. There was a bumper sticker or a thing that I saw on a poster when I was a kid growing up, and it said, if God feels far away, who's moved? And that always felt quite sort of judgmental, and I guess it was meant to be judgmental. It was meant to make you think, oh yes, I've stopped talking to God. But because God is as close as the air that you breathe. But the reminder this morning is that we get to do life with God. And we are being invited to go deeper with that. And he wants to talk to you. And so I would encourage you to, ask him to open all of your senses, to be aware. Because as we've explored before, we say talk and hear. That's just, mouths and ears. God tells us and speaks to us and just does life with us through many different things. And that's part of what we're doing here on the podcast by sharing these stories, is showing you in tangible ways. This is... these are the different ways that God interacts with us in life. So hopefully that'll be of some encouragement to you. As you step into this brand new day, I'd also encourage you, last thing, thank you, Holy Spirit, if there's something that what is it that you need from God? Ask him, tell him. Of course he already knows, but say it. In my case, I tend to write it and then write down what you hear. Because unless we are conscious about doing that relationship and expecting to hear from him, we kind of muddle along. And yes, sometimes those thoughts pop in our head, and a lot of times there'll be Holy Spirit nudging you and giving you ideas. I'm not saying that God doesn't talk to you unless you say, dear God, please speak to me. But just if you have a particular need today, I would encourage you to talk to God about it. Because like I say, this podcast is as a result of that. Anyway, that's all we have for you today. I hope it's been encouraging for you. And I am excited to share with you later on today some more Heaven and Hell at 43 stories. In the meantime, thank you for being here. I shall catch up with you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.